It's the 2022 Subaru Forester 2.5i S, and this is obviously the pick for doing stuff like going out here. Its main competitors are the Toyota RAV4 and the Mazda CX-5. It's a medium-sized family SUV. It's practical, it's sensible, and this is it in its latest generation. And I'm here to walk you around the exterior features, the interior features, and take it for a drive off-road and on-road to let you know if you should buy it, consider it, or just straight out leave it. With that out of the way, my name's Cameron. This is Product Review Cars. Let's get into it. Now, if you want to see us test more family cars off-road just like this or any other new car reviews, make sure you hit that subscribe button because it's the best way to show your support for the channel. If you have any questions or have anything to say about the video, jump into the comments because I'll see them and I'll read them and I'll be down there replying to them. So let's talk pricing. This is priced from $44,190 before on roads. It's the second most expensive Forester you can buy because the hybrid sits above this. So if you really want a hybrid, that'll cost you just over $47,000 for the range topping model. Now let's talk exterior features. First of all, you can see the eyesight cameras up in the windshield. Those are your safety systems for this car, and they're pretty useful. We have this blue paint. We have LED daytime running lights. We also have LED headlamps, which actually turn with your steering wheel at night, which is pretty cool. So they're cornering headlamps. You've also got Forester stamped into the headlight cluster. Headlight washers on these nodules on the bumper. This is the easiest way to tell it between the pre-facelift model and this new model, are these sort of new designs on the bumper, which is kind of interesting. You've also got a black grille and you have some silver accenting down the bottom and some fog lamps in the bumper. Now the side profile of the Forester is as iconic as it's ever been, but it's a bit more smoothed out in this later generation. You've also got 18-inch dual-tone alloy wheels wrapped in Bridgestone rubber. You've got some matte silver wing mirrors and some matte silver proper metal roof rails up top, some chrome around the windows. You've even got this plastic cladding with some silver accenting around the wheel arches and the side skirts, which is a bit more playing into that off-road theme that Subaru is so well known for. Around the back, we have these crab claw looking rear tail lights. I actually like how they look quite a lot. We have a cool roof spoiler. We have two badges around the back, Subaru, and we also got the Forester badge as well. We have this rear bumper, which has silver accenting along the bottom, continuing with that theme. And we have one exit for the exhaust. And here's what that sounds like. Now, the Subaru Forester 2.5i S comes with a power tailgate, which actually operates quite quickly, so just watch out for that. In the back, we have 498 litres of boot space with all the seats up, and if you want to fold them down, you get 1,740 litres, all quite generous for a medium-sized SUV, and that's helped thanks to this boxy shape that the Subaru Forester is so well known for. Below the boot floor, there is a full-size spare. Now, the interior of the new Subaru Forester may look like an overload of buttons and screens, but there are some reasons for it. One, is to control your safety systems. Two is to control how you drive this car. And three is for your infotainment. That is really the breakdown here. And look, you may be someone who loves this amount of buttons, or you may be someone who hates it, because some other brands are doing the complete opposite and really reducing the number of buttons they have in their car. Meanwhile, Subaru's like, how many can we fit in here? Because there are 19, including the paddle shifters, on this steering wheel alone. I really like how this interior is built and presented. It's got cool stitching on the doors with some dual tone leather work. You've also got that same effect happening up here on the dashboard and through the center stack here as well. And it's a very nice interior to be in, especially with this stitched leather steering wheel and these leather seats. The seats are nice and comfortable, they're heated, they have a dual zone heating, and they are electric. So it does feel like you're in a premium product here. In terms of what we have in front of us, we have two analog dials and a digital display just for your trip information, basic information like that. The analog dials, yes, they feel a little bit older in a car like this. Digital is probably not too far away for the next update for the Forester. The center screen here, it's a non-laminated display, so you can actually see the glass over the actual touchscreen display. So it feels a bit weird from this angle. Sometimes it feels like your finger's not actually touching the screen, it's sort of touching the glass on top. That's the only issue I have with it. Otherwise, it's very easy to use and operate, really just used for Apple CarPlay and for your reversing camera. You've also got another screen up here, which is like an additional trip information display. It also shows you information for when you're off-roading. It's an interesting little cluster up there. I don't know if it's entirely necessary still, but people seem to love it. What I would like to see is the giant cool vertical screen they have in the Subaru Outback thrown in the middle here. We have our hard controls for the infotainment system below that. We have our climate controls. We have a nice little pocket to put our phone and some USB ports there. Our shifters here as well. It feels a little bit weird with the gloss plastic. It just feels a little bit cheaper, but that's not too much of an issue. We have our controls for our X modes, which are off-road modes below that. And we also have some more buttons there to control our electronic handbrake and also for auto hold. Overall, it's a really nice interior, and I really also like this Harman Kardon sound system. Really punchy, really clear, and a great way to listen to your music. Something I didn't really expect from Subaru. Back seats in the Subaru Forester are excellent. I have plenty of knee room, plenty of feet room, and plenty of headroom as someone who's 5'11". If your torso is a little taller, you might feel like getting closer to that roof as an adult, but for kids or anything like that, or any adults below around 6'2", you should be pretty good back here. We have 2 USBs to charge in the back, and we have these interesting map pockets. We have a general sort of giant map pocket, but it looks like there's a secondary one for like a phone and some other small items, which I really like, and it feels nice and practical back here. Center armrest, nice and comfortable, and it looks nice with this gloss black trim. It's the only time I really think gloss black looks good is on these Subaru armrests. The main competitive appeal that the Subaru Forester has over its competitors is its off-road capability. It has symmetrical all-wheel drive. This one comes with some X modes for snow and dirt and deep snow and mud. And it's got stuff like hill descent control, and it's got some cool little graphics to tell you how many degrees of tilt or how many degrees forward and backwards you're going. So there are some things here that makes this a little bit more appealing than just your run-of-the-mill SUV. So this is why I'm starting the driving section on our off-road proving ground. So what do we have? We obviously have our all-wheel drive system. We have some Bridgestone tires, and they haven't been deflated from the normal road use. So I just wanted to see what this is like if you just tore off the road, drive off on a track, and then drive back on the road. That's sort of the appeal that the Subaru has. So I'm not adjusting the tire pressures for this test. And then additionally, we have a 2.5 litre petrol flat 4 motor underneath the bonnet, which is 136 kilowatts and 239 newton meters of torque. Powerful, and it doesn't have a turbocharger. And that all goes through a CVT transmission. So there's some things here that are a little bit controversial, like the CVT transmission and not having a turbocharger, but let's see how this thing performs. So let's just get on with it. We have our car in snow and dirt mode, and we're starting on a bit of a hill descent here. So let's get started. So going down, immediately what I can feel is that the body control is quite comfortable. Although what I am doing is I'm avoiding the deep ruts in this car because it's one of those cars that's just a little bit too low for my liking to be confidently going through deep ruts. So no, it's no Land Rover, but it's doing a pretty good job of navigating some of the trickier stuff. The thing is that this has quite big front overhangs and rear overhangs as well. So I'm just a little bit cautious about going too deep into some ruts. Across a dirt road like this with some larger rocks in it, the car's doing a fantastic job of just removing too many bumps through the cabin. Yes, I can feel the road, and what's great as well is that the hill descent controls helping modulate my speed on this track without running away from me. I haven't really had to engage this motor just yet. It's sort of just coasting along and hitting deeper sort of bumps here. You are getting thrown around a tiny bit, but this would be comfortable for people to not really notice what's going on. Now we have a difficult section up here for this particular car. It's some mud ruts, and I'm going to take this one a little bit easier because this is obviously the family SUV and not the Defender we just had on test. So going through, we just kiss the bumper there. Oh, so I'm going to navigate to the other side of this. Oh, there we go. Perfect. So we had to move to the side of that a little bit because the bumper was just getting a little too close to the ground there. And then what we had was some excellent control and stability from this all-wheel drive system, so that was impressive there. The CVT transmission is doing a good job of keeping the revs nice and low and controlled, and modulating speed in the CVT is actually quite easy, so that's not all too bad. Now this is something that might get a little hairy up here. This is the large hill that we have to go down in. The Outback cleared this just fine, so it'll be interesting to see how the Forester goes. So we're going down this hill. This is a bit of a test for the hill descent control. It's doing a good job of modulating the speed, although I am bringing on the brakes. And we hit the bottom of this hill here. Very nice. Let's see how close we're going to get to the bumper going on this hill. Nope, we're good. We got clearance. Same with the back. Great. And I'm going to steer away from a bit of a steeper section that we don't really need to go over if we don't have to. And up we go, no problems. And then there's a bit of a rut on the other side. Just carefully manage that. Oh. And cleared that just fine. The engine's not an issue here. I wouldn't see a real need to get any more power or a turbocharger for this section. It does a really good job of feeding off enough power and torque. What you're getting is actually quite a controlled and easy to navigate experience for when you're going over some tough stuff. Now, immediate grip after being in that mud will be a little bit limited thanks to all the ruts being filled in our tires, but once that sort of wears away, we'll be able to get a proper sense of the grip these Bridgestone tires will give us. Now, you have to excuse the sound of the rain, it is kind of louder, but the car does a good job of isolating any road noise, although this noisy road here is coming through just a little bit more than I was used to coming here. When it wasn't raining, very quiet, very nice. I liked it a lot. Now this flat floor motor does perform quite well, and this CVT transmission, yes, you can hate on it all you want, and yes, I want to hate on it all I want to as well, but it just performs so nicely with this motor. It puts it in the right rev range all the time. It's got simulated gears, so it doesn't really feel like it's always droning. And then it keeps this engine nice and low in the rev range. I'm just above 1,000 RPM, like barely 1,100 if that. And I mean, like, that's great for fuel efficiency. So it's hard to say if you really don't like CVT, like, you know, you're only gonna have that in your mind, because driving it, it's not an issue. It's quite good, and I think it's quite a capable gearbox. You can whack this in manual mode and use these paddle shifters here and drop down some simulated gears. So we're in fourth now, because the CVT transmission is just one long gear. But Subaru have gone ahead and engineered a way into making this feel a bit more like there's gears here, but you don't feel a gear change. It just drops the revs when you go to change gear. And I don't think these paddles are all that useful unless you really need to squeeze the power out of this. Now you might have to do that because this naturally aspirated motor is fine for, you know, 3 passengers, 4 passengers in the car, but load all your luggage up, put a roof rack on, as well as towing something, and you're going to be reaching the limits of this feeling like it's super capable. And that's when you'd be wanting a diesel version or a turbocharged version of this car. Now on the road, the suspension's nice and solid. I don't feel like I'm floating around all that much. And then through faster corners, so we're doing 80 kilometers an hour through here, the car doesn't feel upset at all. It feels nice and just flat. It just feels flat. It feels like you're sitting in a lounge chair that feels like it's bolted to the ground. It just feels quite comfortable, but it doesn't feel like it's all over the place. Now steering is excellent, it's nice and direct. I really like how this feels, and all the smallest inputs here are felt through the car. Although you're not feeling all that much of the road through the steering wheel, it's just nice to be able to feel that you've got some direct steering input. Now we do have S and I modes, which is sport and I believe individual or intelligent mode. And so you have a little graph that pops up on your little digital display here, and basically S just puts this into the sports mode, basically holds gears for longer, holds those revs for longer, holds gears, doesn't just hold the one gear, it just pushes the revs up to get more power out of this thing. Now cruise control in this car is actually quite good. I like using it, and it's great for long journeys and bumper to bumper traffic, although the issue is that if the cars are stopped ahead of you and you're slowing up, it doesn't slow all that smoothly, it sort of freaks out the gears and obstacles. So just keep that in mind if you're heading towards stop traffic and you're relying on radar cruise control. Other thing as well, we have assisted steering, which is seen for the first time in a Forester. It's new for this model, and it works relatively well, although it just needs some tweaks here and there to make it a little bit more comfortable to use day to day, because some small inputs cancel it, and then also it sort of doesn't react to sharper corners all that quickly. So there's just some slight tweaks here and there that I would make to make it feel a lot more perfected but it's nice to see in this car. Now, the two downsides I would say for this car include the fact that this is a naturally aspirated motor, meaning that my fuel efficiency is a little worse because this doesn't have a turbocharger, it's not a diesel, so it means I've been averaging around, let me have a look, 11 litres per 100 Ks, and that's with a fair amount of highway driving and plenty of city driving as well. Now, here's the simplest way to put it. If you need all-wheel drive, buy the Subaru Forester because it is the best bet out of its current crop of competitors for its all-wheel drive system. If you don't need all-wheel drive, consider it, because its other competitors like the Hyundai Tucson, the Mazda CX-5, and the Toyota RAV4 are all very good options for you to put alongside and shortlist against the Subaru Forester. But if you're certain you're going to take it off some more rough stuff, or you like the fact it has all-wheel drive, or you just know that you're going to be making those longer trips to those slipperier surface areas, like maybe heading to the beach or going down to the snow, that is when the Subaru Forester shines. You buy a Subaru because you know you want to do Subaru things. That is why the Forester is so popular here in Australia, because it matches our more active lifestyles with the ability that this car offers. So look, I personally think it's a brilliant car. I love it in this latest generation. But all I can say after testing it off-road is that Wilderness Edition cannot come soon enough here to Australia to give us some more ground clearance and make me more confident taking this thing off-road than the confidence this thing already inspires. Now, thank you so much for watching. My name's Cameron. Make sure you hit subscribe to show your support for Product Review Cars. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.